Hello everyone. Today, I bring you an episode about the amazing world of Gumball. The episode is a critique of the treatment that employees receive, but not those in higher positions, but rather those in smaller roles who have to deal with consumer abuse. The episode also touches on the school system, and if you've been interested so far, stay until the end of the video. The episode begins with Gumball and Darwin buying cereals at a gas station. Apparently, they were either going to or coming back from school, and Gumball was complaining about the education system. The problem is that Gumball's criticisms weren't the complaints of someone genuinely concerned about education. Quite the opposite. They were the complaints of a lazy person who thought a human could live a peaceful life only knowing how to read, write, and count. In Gumball's mind, a person could become fit to live in society throughout their entire life with just these skills. I don't need to say how wrong this idea is. The main purpose of schools is not to generate great minds that can revolutionize an entire era, but rather people who can live among others. Not surprisingly, most thieves are people who had no education or had a weak one. We can even say that this wasn't the only reason, but it clearly should be considered. In school, you don't just learn that the sum of the squares of the legs of a right-angled triangle is equal to the square of the hypotenuse, but you learn to be a decent human being. You know that if you act like a stranger, your peers will make fun of you. You learn to take care of your reputation. You learn about responsibilities, time management, and dealing with pressure. The problem is that school teaches you all of this at once. Schools don't adapt to the specialties of each student and try to impose the idea that we are all equal, which clearly we are not. There are people smarter than others, more energetic than others, and especially people more hardworking than others. If you keep imposing the idea that we are all equal and that uniqueness doesn't exist, the frustration of students will be clear. No one wants to be locked in a room with a teacher saying the same thing for the 10th time and asking you to write a 10,000-word essay. This, along with a place that disdains individual effort, is the perfect recipe for disaster. Now you wonder if I am in favor or against the education system. If we take the concept of school, a place that aims to prepare children for adulthood, I 100% support it, but the execution of this idea has been a total disaster. Part of the blame can be attributed to teachers, schools, governments, and the other part goes entirely to you. Yes, you watching the video now. You complain when the teacher asks you to do an exercise without a calculator, saying that it wouldn't make sense since you'll always have a calculator in your life. This may be true, but actions like these support the idea that previous generations are smarter than present generations. If someone many years before Christ could do mathematical calculations without a calculator, what argument will you in 2024 have to say that you couldn't? This is the total opposite of the idea of evolution and only shows how foolish people are becoming more and more. I hope you understood my point, but if you have different ideas than mine, please leave them in the comments. Continuing, Darwin, to show Gumball how important math is, gives him a small basic exercise, and he fails miserably.
Like say you've got $20 and you want to buy 3 $2 candy bars. How much money do you give Larry?
All of it and wait for change, like everyone else does.
Larry says they should continue going to school and uses himself as an example of why since he dropped out of school and look where he is now. Still, this isn't enough to convince Gumball and Darwin, and they continue to see the negative side of school. Some points even make sense, like saying that during college, they don't teach you anything valuable and leaves you in the middle of nowhere expecting you to know what to do. Larry, already without verbal arguments, suggests that they do his job for 5 minutes while he takes a short break, and clearly, they accept. They had the idea that it would be easy, so they start by following Larry's schedule, but what they didn't expect is that it would be so extensive. The list had kilometers and kilometers in length, which makes sense since Larry is the one doing all the work in the city. Their job starts at Joyful Burger, where Tobias's father makes baseless complaints in an attempt to abuse his consumer rights to get free things, and he knows it.
Are you trying to deny my consumer right to make bogus complaints to get free stuff?
Apparently, he was complaining about the soda in the store that came in a cup called a bottomless cup, meaning he could refill the cup as many times as he wanted, but he really wanted a cup that had no bottom. He even uses a dictionary as support for his arguments. and he was trying to abuse his consumer rights because the customer is always right. But Gumball was smarter and decided to pierce the bottom of the bottle, leaving it bottomless. After that, they are called to the supermarket, where an old lady is looking for her grandson, and she begins to describe him. She says the last time she saw him was more than 40 years ago in a place unrelated to that supermarket, but she insisted that they call him using a strange and completely embarrassing song to chant loudly. But the customer is always right, and they start their mini-show, and as unlikely as it was, little Timmy appeared, and we had a happy ending. Now they were called to the restaurant where a customer wanted to be closer to the window, but she didn't want to move a muscle for it, meaning she wanted the workers to take her there. Besides being strangely unnecessary, it's wrong to subject workers to such humiliation. This may represent the kind of customer who thinks that the waiter or attendant is there to satisfy all their personal needs. You have every right to take full advantage of a service when you pay for it, but at least make the effort to show a minimum of respect for others. No matter how much they pushed the chair to the window for her, it wasn't close enough. She wanted to be closer and closer to the window. After all, the customer is always right. Now the scenario changes, and they are in a bank amidst a robbery, but they were the robbers since that was a bank. I don't understand much about accounting and economics, so I have no idea how a bank can steal from us. But Gumball simply took everything the man had, like his wallet, his watch, his dignity, and said he would do the same with his children. All this while threatening to lower his credit score, which basically says whether you are a reliable person to give loans or not. At least here, the customer doesn't always have the right. Now they were called to the animal center in the supermarket, and there the little professor reveals how the animals are trapped in cages instead of being free in nature. I want to believe that these kinds of people no longer exist, and there's not much we can say about this scene in the episode. Now they are in the pizzeria, where someone orders a pizza and gives a random location where a plane pilot takes the pizza and never pays for it. That's where Darwin noticed the injustice of working in establishments. He says that wearing the uniform of a store is the most adult way to have a paper saying "kick me" stuck to your back, but the customer is always right. Now they go to another store and realize that it was Black Friday. We see a scene of chaos in the store since everyone wants to buy as many things as possible. This chaos injures Gumball and Darwin, but the customer is always right. Now back at the gas station, a customer wanted to use the bathroom. We don't know what he did in there, and it's better not to find out. While Gumball takes care of that, Darwin goes to deliver a package, again going through humiliation and enduring a customer who tries to abuse the two advantages as a customer. At least in one of the jobs, they operate with machines, so they don't need to worry as much, and that's why they were fired. The episode continues to show the difficulties of being a worker with a not very well-acclaimed job. This was so much that we forget that only 5 minutes have passed, so imagine Larry, who has to do this every day. And he says that none of this would have happened if he hadn't dropped out of school, suggesting that without education, you can't succeed in life. To some extent, this is correct. No one would hire an uneducated person for a higher and prestigious position in a company, receiving astronomical salaries. But at the same time, it's wrong. Nowadays, there are many other ways to succeed in life. You don't need a diploma to show your worth, but saying that school as a whole is unnecessary is a lot of lies. And the episode ends with a brief summary of our lesson today.
That we should go to school because we need to learn more in order to find jobs that fulfill our souls so we don't have to waste our lives running after money in order to buy pointless stuff to fill the gaping holes of our existential dread, like you do!
Ending the episode in real Amazing World of Gumball style. If you made it this far, it shows that you really liked the video and maybe someone who already knows me and has been following my videos. If you were the first case, I would like to suggest taking another look at my channel, and if you think it's worth it, consider subscribing. If you were the second case, thank you so much for everything you have done for me, be it comments, likes, or subscriptions. It means a lot to me, and I hope things continue to go well. Lately, it has been more difficult to make videos because of school, but I hope the extra effort pleases you and is worth it. If you have more suggestions or something like that, please leave them in the comments. It may not seem like it, but I read all of them with a smile on my face. At the moment I write this, we are more than 600 subscribers, and you can't imagine the joy I feel right now. Thank you so much for everything, and until next time.